ambiguous libidinal link of fantasies communicating when a woman is raped, this, how should I call it, phantasmatic participation, collaboration of the victim. But my point is that it absolutely does not justify it in any way. If anything, it makes it even worse. It makes it even worse. Because again, to return to my previously mentioned example, if, let's say, a woman who is autonomous and so on, self-assertive, is raped, I can imagine what she will do if, hopefully, there will not be a great physical harm. She will take a good shower and plan her revenge. Totally on her. But can you imagine the trauma of, here things are much more complex. What is suicidal crisis? For example, reading reports on the survivors of rapes in Bosnia and so on, I noticed something which is a very nice Lacanian point, that the critical point of the victim of rape was usually not the rape itself. It was painful and so on, but there were usually not many suicides immediately after the rape. Because somehow you fix on, I have to survive to tell. The true critical point was then, if you survived the rape, were set free, were succeeded joining your own people, and then that was the horrible point. Because what gave you the strength to survive was, I must survive to tell the story. You were looking for a symbolic space, as it were, where your story would have been properly received. The true critical point occurred, so some doctors were telling me, when you are necessarily more or less traumatically disappointed, when you discover that there is no one to really receive your message. People have sneering remarks, did you really not enjoy it secretly, blah, blah, blah. That was the point where usually then suicides occur. And maybe you know it, he has a wonderful, terrifying dream, Primo Levi, along a very weird dream, along the same lines, where he reports on a dream. Don't show me the pornographic image, I hate the guy. There, on the cover. Yeah, ask me, okay, you are not old enough, but let me ask you a frank question. You see that image there? Would you allow that guy to take your daughter to cinema? The answer is clear, never. Okay, sorry, let's go on. He reports on a very strange dream. How the dream is that he is set free, he survived. The dream in Auschwitz, he had this dream, that he is set free, he goes to visit his family, and then he is telling his family gathered around dinner about his horrible experience in Auschwitz, and then they start to yawn, they get bored, they go, and at that moment he awakens. It's a horrible logic. It's as if the disappointment in the dream is so horrible that you prefer to awaken to the reality of Auschwitz itself. And very honestly then, Primo Levi reports that he thought this dream is his peculiarity, but he discovered that practically all others had this same dream. Sorry, you wanted to, before I got into this narcissistic exercise, I thought you wanted, you.
Me? No.
Now I will be evil in a stupid, funny way. You, the protector of the Catholic Irish rapists. You. No, I know, my God, it's a bad taste joke. I know. No, I thought you raised the hand before that you wanted. Okay, so you know what I propose? Now it's 20 to 12, let's say quarter of an hour break. No, sorry, let's say 5 minutes so that it will really be 10 minutes.
Do you like Pinkert's phenomenology?
Sorry?
Pinkert, his phenomenology of spirit, Pinkert?
That's a good question. Oh my God. Yes and no. To be very precise, Pinkert has some wonderful insights. For example, when he gets it, that what Hegel calls absolute vision, absolute knowing, you should totally forget this crazy idea that Hegel was an idiot who thought, I know everything, read the mind of God. That on the contrary, what Hegel calls absolute knowing is a certain closure. It's rather the admission of a certain radical limitation. Where I don't agree with Pinkard, are you talking about his In the Spirit of Hegel or what that?
No, I said he actually just came out with a translation.
Of new. I don't know that, because my standard reference is, of course, that, who did that? Findlay. No. Phenomenology. What's his title? Spirit or mind?
Well, Bailey did the phenomenology of mind, and then Miller came back with phenomenology of spirit.
I'm for spirit, because I think that for Hegel, as everybody will tell you, spirit is a collective entity. Spirit is not what in Anglo-Saxon tradition it's called mind. The whole point of Hegel is, to put it simply, that mind is always already spirit. That even your innermost self-identity is already, and so on and so on. What I like in Pinkard is his, I wouldn't say materialism, but his anti-theological reading of Hegel. But I violently disagree with his point that Hegel was a kind of a pantheistic, spirit. No. I think that Hegel was a Christian, but Hegel's point was that Christianity itself is the theological form of atheism. That Hegel's reading was that God who dies really dies. Like, how to put it? But okay, I did this in my so-called theological writings, that what happened on the cross, it's not simply God is up there, he sends a messenger, and okay, things go back, the son dies, so the son returns to the father, and maybe next time. That, for Hegel, what dies on the cross is God of beyond itself. It's literally. What dies on the cross is the very transcendent God the Father who secretly pulls the strings, guarantees the happy outcome. So for Hegel, Holy Spirit is simply the collectivity of believers without any big other guaranteeing anything. And you can make here wonderful connections with radical theologists who claim that even if they are not leftists, conservative, like Claudel said something wonderful when he said that the deepest message of Christianity is not trust God, is God has to trust us. The message of crucifixion for these radical Christians is not God will redeem us, is God abdicates. It's up to you, humanity. Like God has to. We should, God, or as Claudel put it, God cannot do anything without us. Okay, but all that stuff. So again, here, but who is, okay, to cut a long story short, my favorite American Hegelian, although he is politically maybe so it's the one I mentioned yesterday, is Robert Pippin, nonetheless. Although I don't like his anti-ontological reading of Hegel. This modest reading of Hegel, like no metaphysics, just kind of a general discourse theory. But okay, we will do this. Okay, do I know?
Can you read that?
What is this?
It's a B.
B.
Yeah.
Katie, B.
Yeah.
But between B and Katie, no dot.
No.
And Con is like Jewish, like this. Yeah. We are all anti-Semitic, sorry. Okay, I got it. So, Hegel quotes, no? Okay? Definitely. Okay, so we will do more Hegel, definitely, and we'll try to do some cognitivism and so on with pleasure. Okay, now since I would, let's, okay, I will skip that stuff because I think you even maybe find it somewhere on the internet, so I don't want to repeat myself too much. This stuff of that I mentioned yesterday, Karadzic and so on. No, what fascinated me is only, okay, if you know it, I will read to you. This is a poem by Karadzic, Radovan Karadzic, Hague, Bosnia. Official translation. By official, I mean I didn't do it. I don't know if it's official. Convert to my faith, to my new faith crowd. I offer you what no one has had before. I offer you inclemency and wine. The one who won't have bread will be fed by the light of my sun. People, nothing is forbidden in my faith. There is loving and drinking and